Let's talk sports at 321-309-9590 or toll free at 772-664-9590. Now more of the Mark Moses Show.
Welcome back to the show. And right now here on the Club 52 hotline, good friend of mine from the state of Virginia, covers Virginia Tech and the ACC. His name is Chris Coleman with Tech Sideline. You can follow him on Twitter at Chris Coleman TSL. Chris, how you doing today, man?
Doing excellent. How are you guys doing down there?
Hey, we're doing just fine, getting ready for a new season of college football. And look, you cover Virginia Tech, like I said, and I got to ask you about Frank Beamer to start this conversation. He's like the elder statesman. I mean, how long's he been there at Virginia Tech now?
1987 was his first year as head coach.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. You're talking, I was 4 years old when he took over the program.
Wait. Who's older, him or Steve Spurrier?
Spurrier's got him by a year, I think. I think Spurrier's a year older.
Oh, man. Well, here's the thing, okay? When you look at the ACC, Florida State's always been there, all right, as a champion, one of those contenders. But Virginia Tech has always been a contender, and even for national titles. What's happened the past couple of years? Because it feels like now Virginia Tech's not in the mix for a BCS Bowl or maybe even the new college football playoff.
Yeah, I think you can point to the old offensive coaching staff. After the 2012 season, Frank Beamer made some changes with his coaching staff. And I think that old staff didn't do a great job of targeting the right type of players. They had some wide receivers in there that weren't natural receivers. They played quarterback or running back in high school, and they were just never able to make that complete transition to natural college receiver. Good athletes, but not necessarily natural football players. And then they made they didn't recruit enough offensive linemen, so they kind of ran out of talent there. So just some recruiting mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, the defense is still just as good as it ever was. I mean, you saw what Bud's defense did to Alabama in the first game this past season, held them to 206 total yards, shut down that Alabama running game. It was pretty incredible. But, there's just a major lack of talent in the program right now. I like the young players on offense. I think the new staff has done a very good job of targeting the right types of players, particularly at wide receiver. They've got some good young running backs in the program, but unfortunately, I think it's a 2 to 3 year rebuilding job. I think it'll be better than it was last year, but I think you're looking 2015, 2016 before it really hits its peak, and that just kind of shows you that old staff, I think, ran Virginia Tech into the ground from an offensive talent standpoint.
We're here with Chris Coleman, Tech Sideline. Follow him on Twitter at Chris Coleman TSL. Here's the thing. Fan bases are not patient. They want to win now. You know this. What are they like on your message boards? I mean, are they just saying, hey, we need to make a change? I mean, what are their thoughts?
Well, the change has been made as far as offensive coaching. I'm a big fan of Scott Loeffler. I like Stacy Searles, the new offensive line coach. Aaron Moorhead, the new wide receivers coach. I feel like those guys are very good coaches, and they know what they're doing. Unfortunately, they're going to have to be patient. I mean, there's no other way around it because it's not going to turn around overnight. I think most people are resigned to that fact right now. I think that they know that something magical isn't going to happen. I think we're going to see Virginia Tech, take a step forward offensively this year, but getting back to contender status, I think is a couple of years away.
We're with Chris Coleman, Tech Sideline. Let's look at the conference as a whole, the ACC. You lose Maryland. You get Louisville. Is this like hitting the jackpot? I think so for football. I mean, what are your thoughts on the conference?
I think so for football. I think so for basketball, and I think so for baseball also.
Yeah.
I know Maryland made the NCAA tournament in baseball this year, but they're normally not that good at it, and Louisville is. So I think from an all-sports perspective, I think Louisville is a more attractive option. Plus, they're in a better financial situation than Maryland. And Maryland, that's the reason they left, is because the Big Ten front-loaded their contract, and they're trying to get back in the black, so to speak. But I think it's great for the ACC personally, and I'm glad Virginia Tech is in the Coastal Division and not the Atlantic Division, because that Atlantic Division is a bear right now with Florida State, Clemson, and Louisville all over there in that league, in that division. And I think that's going to be an interesting one to watch year in and year out. You got to give Florida State the advantage right now, but once they lose Jameis Winston, I think it might be back up for grabs again.
What about Bobby Petrino? He goes back to Louisville. He's now in the ACC. That guy's got a great agent. I mean, are you ready for the Bobby Petrino era?
Man, the second Bobby Petrino era, I guess. Yeah, he's obviously a very good football coach. When Charlie Strong took over that program, the foundation was already very, very sound from what Bobby Petrino had built there. And he obviously had a lot of success. I remember Virginia Tech playing Louisville in the Gator Bowl back in after the 2005 season, and they were very good. So I think he's going to do a good job there. Is he going to be Charlie Strong good? Maybe not. But I think that program, they've got good facilities, they've got a good fan base, and they've got a lot of money to work with. They had a lot of money to work with before they joined the ACC, and now they're going to be making even more money from a TV contract of one of those Power 5 conferences. So I think their future is pretty bright.
Here's the thing I want your thoughts on with Florida State. You're bringing them up about they won the national title. They got Winston. Is there that thought in the ACC like you do in the Southeastern Conference where you're waving the flag like, hey, we won the national title? Is there that thought or no, Florida State won the championship?
Oh, Florida State won the championship. Yeah, I think Florida State has a target on their back right now. I think everybody on the ACC wants to be Florida State. And, I don't think anybody is going to sit here and say that Florida State doesn't have the highest ceiling of any program in the conference. I think that's definitely true. They dropped off in the latter stages of Bobby Bowden's career. He held on too long, but now they're 100% back, as good as they ever were. Obviously, by when you saw that by them beating Auburn for the national championship. So, to me, it's going to be really interesting. I think Florida State's at the top of the league, and they have the highest ceiling of any program in the league. I think there's 3 or 4 schools fighting for that number 2 spot. You've got Virginia Tech, you've got Clemson, you've got Louisville, and if Miami can get the right coach, not to say that Al Golden isn't, but they can be in there too. But I don't see any of those schools having the ceiling that Florida State does.
We're here with Chris Coleman, Tech Sideline. Follow him on Twitter at Chris Coleman TSL. Here, I want your thoughts on the ACC championship game, which is in Charlotte. I know they kind of say that's the headquarters for the conference. Do you like having it there? Because I kind of feel like we should rotate it a little. What are your thoughts on the championship game?
They used to have it down in Florida, and they were obviously expecting Miami and Florida State to play for it quite a bit, and that never happened, except for, one time Florida State played Virginia Tech in Jacksonville. But other than that, you were getting Virginia Tech versus Boston College, and one year you got Georgia Tech versus Wake Forest, and it was just a flop. But, now that it's been in Charlotte, the attendance has been much, much better every year. So, I just your locals down in Florida did not embrace the ACC championship game and show up.
No, you're right, man.
There was a year when it was in Tampa, and it was Virginia Tech versus Boston College, and it was about 10 or 12,000 Virginia Tech fans, maybe 1,000 or 2 Boston College fans, and like no locals showed up just to watch a football game, and that's what really hurt the game having in Florida. That's what hurt, the game down in Florida, and I think you can look at attendance at some of your programs down there, like Miami, where they don't get anybody to come to their games.
No.
I just think people in Florida, with all those sunny beaches, they find better things to do than go watch football games, and they're not going to show up to a game like that if they don't have a rooting interest. So I think Charlotte's the best place for it from an attendance standpoint.
Okay, wait a minute. I got to go over my history here. Was that Matt Ryan leading Boston College, and then the Hokies destroyed him?
Yeah, 2007 and 2008, Boston College beat Virginia Tech in the regular season, but both years Virginia Tech returned the favor in the ACC championship game.
Yeah, that's right. All right, before I let you go, I want your thoughts on this. Hey, we got a college football playoff, my friend. Are you excited for this? I think it's going to be chaos and worse than the BCS. What are your thoughts on a playoff?
I think that's possible. Yeah, everybody was always arguing over the BCS every year. Well, guess what? Now you've got a committee basically selecting the 4 playoff teams, and there's going to be arguments. There might be 4 or 5 one-loss teams, and a couple of those teams aren't going to get in. Or there could even be a 2-loss team as your number 4 seed, and then a couple of other 2-loss teams with an argument that they should be the number 4 seed. So I think it's going to be a different kind of argument. I'll put it that way. I think an 8-team playoff is ideal. I think it'll get to that at some point, but I just don't know when that'll happen. But from an excitement standpoint, I think it's great.
All right. Okay, here's your bonus question. Virginia Tech at Ohio State is week 2 of the season. Is this right, or is my playoff preview magazine wrong?
No, that is correct. In Columbus, Ohio, the second week of the season.
Oh, man, that's going to be awesome. Are you ready for that? That is going to be fantastic.
I'm looking forward to the 2015 game more so than the 2014 game.
Well, that's great stuff.
2015, we get them on Monday night, Labor Day, the opening game of the season in Lane Stadium. And Virginia Tech will have a veteran football team in 2015. They'll bring back almost everybody from the 2014 team. And then LSU will lose Braxton Miller, of course.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking forward to that 2015 game a lot more than I am the 2014 game.
Oh, don't worry. I have Gator fans here who tell me about 2017 at Jerry Jones's stadium against Michigan. So don't worry. You're not that far off. 2015's not that far. Oh, man.
That's right. I can wait. I think it'll be great to go up to Columbus and experience a new venue like the Horseshoe. I think that'll be really good for Tech fans.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Chris Coleman, Tech Sideline is the website. Chris Coleman, TSL. If you want to follow him on Twitter, it's a good one if you like the ACC. Chris, always great to catch up with you, and I hope I can get you on during the season.
Sounds good, Mark. I appreciate it. Take care.